What's going on, YouTube? Back with another video to keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of pro wrestling. First thing I wanted to talk about, I'm very sorry to hear about the passing of Dennis Condrey, a founding member of the Midnight Express, who passed away last night at the age of 74. Dax Harwood of AEW made the announcement on social media and said he started a GoFundMe account to help with funeral expenses. PW Insider talked about Condrey's passing as well and said it occurred yesterday evening. Dennis Condrey started the Midnight Express in 1980 along with Ravishing Randy Rose and Norvell Austin. That group broke up in 1983 when Dennis Condrey got hired by Mid-South Wrestling, and Condrey formed a new version of the Midnight Express with Beautiful Bobby Eaton and their manager Jim Cornette. This version of the team worked in Mid-South Wrestling, WCCW, and Jim Crockett Promotions. However, in 1987, Dennis Condrey left Crockett Promotions and returned to AWA and went back to teaming with Ravishing Randy Rose. This version of the Midnight Express, featuring Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose, then moved to the newly developed WCW in 1988 with Paulie Dangerously, currently known as Paul Heyman, as their manager, and they feuded with Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, and Jim Cornette. Dennis Condrey left WCW in early 1989 and kept wrestling on the independent scene through 2011. All Elite Wrestling brought him in to do a special tribute to him in 2023. Also in the news, I wanted to talk about Ted Dibiase Jr., who last wrestled for WWE in 2013. The legal battle he's been dealing with after being charged with 13 counts of embezzlement, money laundering, wire fraud, and conspiracy is now over for him, as a Mississippi jury rendered a verdict of not guilty on all counts. He was involved in a court case regarding a big welfare fraud scandal where he, his family members, and others that even included NFL legend Brett Favre were all accused of illegally receiving millions of dollars in government funds. And if Ted DiBiase Jr. had been sentenced on all of these charges, he could have gotten 160 to 185 years behind bars, so several life sentences. I'm kind of surprised he got off, as his brother Brett DiBiase, who's also a wrestler, pled guilty to the case, as did DiBiase Jr.'s close friend, Mississippi official John Davis. According to WFTV News in Mississippi, quote, "The welfare scandal came to light in 2020 when the former director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, John Davis, was indicted on fraud and embezzlement charges alongside several others, including Ted DiBiase Jr.'s brother, former pro wrestler Brett DiBiase. Federal indictments accused Davis of directing the federal dollars to two nonprofits, which then awarded sham contracts to various people and organizations, including several companies owned by DiBiase, for social services that were never provided." End of quote. Also wanted to bring up that WWE's Santos Escobar reportedly had surgery 2 days ago for a torn triceps and will be out of action for months. Fightful Select had reported that the injury initially started on the Royal Rumble weekend at the end of January 2026 during an NXT house show tour while Escobar was wrestling El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., the AAA Latin American champion. Escobar didn't think it was a triceps tear at first, but then when he wrestled in a four-way match at the AAA Rey de Reyes event on March 14, 2026 that aired on WWE's YouTube channel, against La Parca El Grande Americano, portrayed by Ludwig Kaiser, and the original El Grande Americano, portrayed by Chad Gable, it got worse, and Escobar found out that unfortunately it was a triceps tear and that he'll need surgery, so best of luck to him for a speedy recovery. Also wanted to mention that WWE has reportedly just signed Marie Malenko, the daughter of Dean Malenko, who was big in WCW back in the day, and I believe he works behind the scenes in WWE now. And she's also the granddaughter of wrestler Boris Malenko. Marie Malenko is set to head down to the WWE Performance Center shortly, and she's been wrestling over in Japan and some of the companies WWE has affiliations with. And Marie Malenko made her pro wrestling debut on February 2nd, 2026 in Pro Wrestling Noah over in Japan. While I'm right here, I figure I may as well give a recap for WWE Main Event, March 19th, 2026, as well as WWE Evolve from March 18th, 2026. Had some interesting wins here because, some wins where the people that were winning are people that usually WWE doesn't have winning matches all that much, And one of these matches here was a person who got their first WWE win ever, as far as I know, on television. So we'll start off with WWE Main Event from March 19th, 2026. This show only had 2 matches on it. It aired on WWE's YouTube channel now that Peacock TV doesn't have, they don't air this weekly show on there anymore. First match was Apollo Crews and Matt Cardona versus Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and in a shocker, Matt Cardona and Apollo Crews actually had a solid, decisive win when Matt Cardona pinned Nathan Frazier. And that's a huge win for them. I mean, and I think that's a great win for them because, like, Apollo Crews, unfortunately, they hardly ever have him winning anything. So, I mean, it's like, gee, it's a miracle. They had Apollo Crews winning a match. So there you go. How often do you see that? And match 2 on the show was Grayson Waller versus Shiloh Hill from NXT. And in this match, this one here, we had Grayson Waller getting a crappy underhanded win after gouging Shiloh Hill in the eyes. So it's like, well, whoop-de-freaking-do on that one. So that's nothing to get excited about. But a match where Apollo Crews is winning, now that is something to celebrate. Hey, I'll drink to that. All right. And the announcers for that show on Main Event were Byron Saxton filling in for Blake Howard along with Vic Joseph. Well, let's go over to WWE Evolve. Well, that had some interesting wins here for people that, never win any matches and stuff, or hardly ever do. Now, in the first match here, this one we had Dante Chen versus Cam Hendricks, formerly known as Anthony Luke, over on WWE LFG. Now, Cam Hendricks, he was out there with Harley Riggins. This match here, Harley Riggins caused an outside distraction against Dante Chen. And then at the end, Harley Riggins got in the ring to interfere, but Dante Chen fought him off. But then Cam Hendricks got the upper hand off the distraction and got a crummy underhanded win. So whoop-de-freaking-do. So there you go. Another match with a crummy ending, And those matches with those crummy endings, I don't particularly care to see them. All right, but here's the next one. Here you have match 2 with this person. Here's a person that never won a match on WWE TV before, and now they're winning their first WWE win. So it's like, well, thank God Almighty. It's a miracle. All right, so here we have Laney Luck versus Zena Sterling, who used to be on WWE LFG. Now here, in a shocker, Laney Luck had a solid, decisive win, her first win in WWE, And, I'm kind of surprised that now Zena Sterling, that used to be on WWE LFG, as far as I know, every time I see her on WWE Evolve, she's always lost. I mean, and I'm kind of surprised at that because on WWE LFG, Bubba Ray Dudley, who was her coach, he was really super duper enthusiastic about Zena Sterling, And so I'm kind of surprised that they're not kind of giving her kind of a push on WWE Evolve. I mean, I've seen her, I think so far she's had 3 matches on WWE Evolve and she's lost all of them. Now, she lost against Carmen Petrovic, and, that's not surprising there, okay? And she also lost against Tyra May Steele, but, so that's not surprising either. I mean, they're higher up on the totem pole than she is, but the thing was, I was surprised when she was up against Tyra May Steele because she literally only got like 5 seconds of offense in during that match. Here, I thought she was going to get more offense in than that. I'm like, I think she got like 2 punches in the match, and the rest of the match was all Tyra May Steele just knocking the heck out of her. So, that's how things seem to be going with her. She seems to be 0-3 as of right now. So we'll see how Zena Sterling ends up making out in the future here. But yeah, congratulations to Lanie Luck for getting her first WWE win on the March 18th episode of WWE Evolve. Now, here's another surprise here. The third match on the show was a WWE Evolve Championship match. We had Adam Rourke, versus Jackson Drake, the WWE Evolve champion, out there along with Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, who are the current NXT Tag Team Champions. And here in this match, we had Brad Baylor causing an outside distraction earlier in the match, and then more towards the end, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, they physically interfered in the match against Aaron Rourke. However, in a surprise, Aaron Rourke, who usually always loses, it seemed, I think in the past they only had Aaron Rourke ever win 2 matches. I think they had him win a match once against the wrestler. He's got a stupid name. They call him, quote unquote, It's Gall. That's his name. And they had him win that, and they had him win in a 10-man tag team match. But other than that, they always make Aaron Rourke lose all the time. So I was surprised here when they had Aaron Rourke had a solid, decisive win here, and he became the new WWE Evolve champion. And they booked this match, making Aaron Rourke go over strong. He looked better than he probably ever has looked in a match and stuff. They really had him getting a lot of offense in there. And basically this was Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor, and Ricky Smokes last night on WWE Evolve, as they're now on the NXT roster full time. So even if Jackson Drake had he won the match, he would have had to have vacated the WWE Evolve Championship, and then they probably would have done some kind of a tournament to get a new WWE Men's Champion there. But they got Aaron Rourke doing that right now, and he won the biggest, got the biggest win in WWE so far that he ever got. And let's see what other things that I thought were interesting on this show. They have Timothy Thatcher being the new GM. After going months without, they had WWE had fired the old GM, Stevie Turner, back in August. But since the shows are on like a month-long delay or whatever, we still kept seeing Stevie Turner on WWE Evolve throughout September and everything like that. But they haven't had a GM on the show for quite a long time and all that. And now they have Timothy Thatcher as the GM and all that. They started doing that, I think, the previous week. And also, let's see, they had Timothy Thatcher mentioned that on the April 1st episode of WWE Evolve, they're going to be bringing in some new wrestlers, and that's probably why there's been reports out that WWE trademarked 5 new names for wrestlers. So maybe on the April 1st episode of WWE Evolve, they're going to bring in maybe 4 or 5 new people there, possibly. And let's see, also on the show, we had Lince Dorado, who hasn't been on WWE television in many months. He made his first appearance on the show in quite a long time. And they have Luca Crucifino, who used to be doing a lawyer gimmick back in NXT, and he would occasionally be on WWE Evolve. And now they got him on Evolve now, and starting the week prior, they have him doing some sort of gimmick where I don't know what he's supposed to be, some sort of it almost looks like he's supposed to be some sort of hip-hop artist or some sort of rapper or something like that. I don't know. Or just some guy. I don't know. But then that's the way it seemed the first week when he was on it last week. But now it seems like maybe, I don't know, he's supposed to be some guy. His gimmick is he's kind of like a laid-back, partying type or something like that. I don't know. But it's just very different than the lawyer gimmick that they used to give him and stuff. Anyway, and yeah, the announcers on that show were Peter Rosenberg and Blake Howard. I think that's pretty much all I really wanted to mention for right now. So I guess I will, I'll say have a good one, and I'll catch you later for more wrestling news here on the channel.